everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another meal prep video. It's been quite some time since I've actually done a meal prep video. Finally, I am back to meal prepping. I want to thank you all so much for sticking around during the last couple months. I've had a pretty rough couple of months. On the menu this week, I am planning something very simple. I'm just going to be doing breakfast and lunch and then just one thing for snacks. No dinner kits this week because my dinners are going to be very simple this week. For breakfast prep, I'm planning on doing peanut butter and jelly overnight oats. And for lunch prep, I'm going to be making chicken breast with roasted Parmesan potatoes and butternut squash. So I hope you'll stick around for meal prep this week. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi. On my channel, I share points for Weight Watchers for all three programs, and I also share calories as well, and I'd love to have you as part of our family. So before I get started, I do want to say thank you so much to all of you for all your well wishes during the last couple of months. I've had a rough couple of months with the loss of my dogs, the loss of my cousin, the loss of our best friend, and then I ended up really sick with a couple things this month. I had an ulcerative colitis flare, which I'm starting to get out of. I'm still struggling with that a little bit, but it is definitely getting better. And then after I did my chat video last week, you might be able to tell I sound a little bit raspy. After my chat video last week where I was saying that things were getting better and I was feeling much better, I ended up with a horrible sinus infection and laryngitis. So I guess I'm just getting everything all at once. But I do want to say I am getting my energy back. I've been getting my steps. Yesterday we had a lazy day, so I didn't get my steps in. A purpose lazy day. But the day before I did. So as always, any of the recipes you see me making today will be listed down in the description box below, as well as any of the items I use. I will link you to the Amazon link to show you any of those items as well. So let's get started with meal prep. All right, for breakfast prep this week, I'm doing peanut butter and jelly overnight oats, or peanut butter and jam. I'm actually using Smucker's sugar-free jam for mine. I'm going to be using 1.5 tablespoons. If you use any other type of jelly or jam, just make sure to account for any point difference. For this one, the points and calories on this are 5 points on blue and green, 2 points on purple, and calories is 238. So let me show you how easy these are. I'm going to be using some oats. These are actually quick oats, but I have used old-fashioned oats and they work just as well. I think you could probably use steel cut too, but these are just the ones that I work and they work perfect. If you've not had overnight oats before, basically you just make them and you put them in your fridge overnight, and then you don't have to heat them. You can eat them cold. I do know there are a lot of people though that don't like cold overnight oats, so I have never warmed them myself, but I know a lot of people who do and say that they actually prefer them better warmed. So completely up to you. So for this recipe, I'm just going to do 1/3 of a cup in each mason jar. And for this one, normally for breakfast and lunch prep, I just do 3 days. But with overnight oats, they tend to stay a little bit longer than most recipes. So I do 4 days worth for this one. All right, next I'm going to put in some sweetener. I try to do all the dry ingredients first. I'm going to be using the Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. On my recipe, I actually used to use Swerve. So either one will work, either the Swerve or the Lakanto monk fruit. And I think this one they say is a little bit better for you. But this is the golden, which is like the equivalent of brown sugar. So we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of that. Next, I'm going to put in 1/2 tablespoon of chia seeds. If you choose not to have the chia seeds, I would recommend just backing off on some of the milk. The chia seeds really kind of bulk it and thicken it, or you can not have it as thick. Some people don't like their overnight oats real thick. We prefer ours to be thick, so completely up to you. So I'm going to do 1/2 tablespoon in each one. Next, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of PB2. Next, I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of Maple Grove Farm sugar-free syrup. For this kind, you can have up to 1/4 cup for 0 points, so just double check the points on any syrup that you use. So we're doing 1 tablespoon. All right, and the last thing I'm going to add is a 1/2 cup of unsweetened almond milk. This is actually the vanilla flavor, which works just as well. So you can either use just the regular unsweetened or the vanilla. And one thing with this, if you've watched me make these before, these are just the 8-ounce mason jars. So when you pour the 1/2 cup of milk in there, you have to be very careful. Usually what I do is just kind of create a well down in the bottom with a knife, and that way it kind of lets the milk just kind of fall down in there. So as you can see, it kind of comes up, but then once you start stirring it, it'll go bubble it down, right back down in there. And then just stir it very carefully. You don't want to really over stir. Just want to stir it enough to mix it just a little bit, and then it'll incorporate all the flavors in the fridge overnight. All right, once they're all put together like that, now we're just going to top it with the jam. So I'm going to put 1½ tablespoons of the sugar-free jam on top. So you can top it with whatever you want. I also have another peanut butter overnight oat recipe on the website that uses just chocolate chips on the top too. So either one, you could use either one. So I'm just going to go through and put 1½ tablespoons of the jam on top. Now, if you prefer this to stay on the top, you could wait until the next day and add this. And that is all there is to it. So now these will just go in my fridge. I'll cover them with the tops and put them in my fridge overnight, and by morning they'll really thicken up. So if you don't like them real thick, what you could do is just in the morning, you could dump these into a different bowl and mix in some milk just until they get to the consistency you want. Totally versatile for overnight oats. All right, now I'm moving on to lunch. For lunch this week, I'm doing just something real basic. I'm going to be having chicken with roasted Parmesan potatoes and butternut squash. For this recipe, the way I'm making it is going to be 4 points on blue, 1 point on purple, 6 points on green, and 340 calories. So for this recipe, what you're gonna need are, I have about a little less than 2 pounds of potatoes, about 30 ounces. I've peeled mine, but you can leave the skins on if you prefer. I'm gonna dice those up. I also have a butternut squash. I have 2 butternut squash. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need both of them. I wanna use about the same amount as the potatoes, so a little less than 2 pounds, about 30 ounces. And then for each portion, I'm gonna use about 4 ounces of boneless, skinless chicken breast. I originally planned on roasting this with the potatoes and butternut squash, but my husband made something on the grill yesterday, so he just tossed these on the grill and cooked them already for me. So my chicken is already cooked, but you can cook yours however you want. So the only thing that I'm gonna have to do is my potatoes and my butternut squash. I'm gonna toss them with about 1½ tablespoons of olive oil and about 2 tablespoons of Parmesan. So I'm gonna go through and dice up my potatoes and dice up my butternut squash. All right, so that is 1 pound, 14.5 ounces. So about the perfect amount. What I ended up doing is some of the ends that I cut, I just had to go around and cut a little extra just to get as much out of it that I could. So now what I've done is sprayed a big pan. This is actually a little bigger than a 13 by 9. Now you just want to go through, make sure you don't have any real big pieces of potatoes. These are going to roast in the oven. I have my oven preheating at 350 degrees, and I'm going to roast them for about 35 to 40 minutes. How you like them roasted is completely up to you. And I'm actually feeling like I might need to split these onto 2 trays because this is really going to be a lot. But let me go ahead and get my 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil on there first. I'm just going to eyeball it because when it comes to olive oil, I just kind of drizzle it. And then we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of Parmesan. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And then just kind of mix that around. I was going to put this on 2 trays, but I think I'm just going to leave it. And what I'll do is just keep stirring it up. Mine may take a little bit more just because I have so much on here. I could also do this in the air fryer too, but for today I'm going to just roast them. So I would recommend that if you have this much, maybe use 2 trays. I'm going to just do the best I can, just flipping them. I'll probably flip them a couple times. So I'm going to put this in the oven. This is going to definitely probably take about 40 minutes. So 40 minutes in a 350 degree oven. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is just take my chicken, and I'm just going to go through and cut it into strips. This chicken is cold actually, since my husband made it yesterday. So just going to go through and cut it in strips, and then that way I'll just put it in the meal prep container that way. So now that's it. I'm just going to set those aside, and then when the potatoes and butternut squash are done, I'll just combine these all in a meal prep container and we'll be done. Okay, so I went through and portioned out my chicken. So I was shooting for about 4 ounces for each one. I had a little bit extra chicken though, so this has right about between 4.5 and 5 ounces for each. So just keep in mind that the points and calories are based on if you're using 4 ounces. Of course, if you're on blue or purple, then your chicken breast is 0, so it's going to be the same points anyway. And I decided to go ahead and put these onto 2 trays. So I swapped, I just have the butternut squash on one and the potatoes on the other. I just felt like that was just way too much for 1 tray. So I'm going to get those back in the oven, and they've been cooking for about 15, so probably let them cook for another 20 to 25 minutes. I'll keep an eye on them since I have them separated now. All right, so now the potatoes and the butternut squash are done. I just kind of push them into portions. If you want, you could actually weigh these out if you prefer to be exact, but I'm not gonna get that picky. So I just kind of push them into portions, and now I'm just gonna put everything in my meal prep containers. All right, so that's what the lunches look like. So again, those are 4 points on blue, 1 point on purple, 6 points on green, and 340 calories. So normally for my meal preps, I also do dinner kits. They're kind of like DIY dinner kits that I just put together all the ingredients, but I'm not doing those this week. This week we're just having real simple things, so there's really nothing to put together for those. But I am going to put together a few of my snacks. This week I'm having these pretzel crisps. These are the cheddar cheese kind. I haven't had this kind before, but I did try them and they're pretty good. So usually I get the I think it's Parmesan and garlic kind, but this kind is pretty good. So I'm just gonna go through and weigh out 28 grams into each bag. These bags, if you're interested, I actually ordered these from Grove. I get a lot of my cleaning products and things like that from Grove, and I saw these on there and I thought they'd be perfect for snack bags. So I'll make sure to put a link down below to Grove if you want to check them out. So So I'm just gonna put 28 grams. Sometimes I'll put a Laughing Cow cheese wedge in here and just put the whole bag in the fridge. A lot of people will ask me if the pretzels get stale in the fridge. I've not noticed that they do. All right, so there we go, 28 grams. So for this snack bag, it's 3 points on all programs and 100 calories. All right, so that's all I'm gonna be prepping for snacks this week. A lot of times I will like portion out my fruits and things like that, but right now, due to health issues, I'm not eating fruits. So that's all I have to prep. The other snacks I'll be having this week are like protein bars, things like that, that I really don't need to prep ahead. All right, everyone, so that's it for this week. Just a very small meal prep, no dinner kits. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe. I'll talk to you in my next video. I'm Kristi, and I'm Planning Us Healthy.